and gentlemen, I don't know what this is. It looks like it just came out of the basement. Master.
Welcome back to Masterbetting after an action-packed weekend. This is Nugs, as always, joined by Ferg. We got a lot to get into, but first and foremost, Ferg, how are you doing?
Good, brother. Good. Had a pretty full weekend. Dude, I mean, there's lots to talk about if you want to get into it a little bit, but how was your weekend?
You know, Ferg, it was good. You know, I'm gonna bore our listeners. I'll just check in with you real quick because it's been a few days since we talked. Essentially, I just went out to Yuma, Colorado. I talked about it on the program before on the podcast. About 2.5 hours east of Denver. Not much to do out there. Sorry, Dro, but still, it's a good time to see family. I was out there for my wife's grandparents' 60th wedding anniversary, which in this day and age is pretty impressive. Gary, the gentleman, as you could probably assume, he's still working at age 80, 84, I think. Either way, so great people, good time to spend with family, but not a lot to do in Yuma. Was able to catch some sports, but that's about it. So I know that you usually lay the lumber when it comes to social aspects of the masturbating community. What'd you get into this past weekend?
Well, it was Parker days. I live out in Aurora, Colorado,
So close
and
to Yuma.
what's that?
Close to Yuma.
Yeah, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. And
Yeah.
and Parker is about 10 minutes from my house, and so I'm down in Parker a lot. I love Parker, Colorado. Shout out. And so I went down for Parker Days, their annual town city festival, if you will. And I went down actually all 3 days. It was so fun. It was just such a good time. Went to my favorite little honky tonk down there as well. My favorite band was playing, and so we went and just really had a good time all weekend. It was fun. I ran into a lot of friends, a lot of people I knew, and yeah, I had a good weekend. Did you catch those fights last night?
You know what? I didn't. Before we get into that, actually, I did a little bit, but did you any BBD? You see BBD down there?
I did not see our buddy, our good friend Diesel. He was not there. I don't know. I don't know what happened with that guy.
So just real quick, if any of you that are new to the podcast, one of the very first recordings that we put out on Spotify is about a 5-minute clip about our good friend BBD. It's a good laugh.
Uh-huh.
Check it out. It's kind of grassroots. So me and Ferg got our start here on these airways. But Ferg, so that's a lie. When you asked about that fight, I did check the fight out, but mainly to see the scenery and the spectacle. And before you get into it, I'll just give you my 2 takeaways. Obviously, the White House was popping right behind the octagon. And 2, I was surprised. I don't even know who it was. It was a French fighter. I don't know his name. Maybe you can help me out with that. But he had a French flag on him. Urban gentleman. Anyways, his walkout, it was like, is this guy doing a White House tour? His walkout through the White House took as long. And then he went and posed in front of the seal for the president of the United States. And then I turned it off. I went to watching World Cup Sweden versus Tunisia, but I assume you caught it. Can you update us and the listeners who didn't?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember a Frenchman. But I mean, the only guy that surreal gone is the one that I would say it. Regardless of who it was, I understand what you're saying. You have like folks that are not citizens of this country posing in front of the presidential seal. Is that more what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean,
And
that didn't even really
the White
register to
House.
me. The thing that I just knew that he was from France because he had the flag on. That's how I was trying to
Yeah,
describe him to you. What really just stood out to me was how long his walk up was just through the White House. It's like, did this guy
yeah,
start in like the East Wing or I guess the North Wing? Since it was on the South Lawn, it took a minute.
yeah. And I'll be honest, going into this event, I was a little. I had mixed feelings. I love the UFC. I love watching it, and I knew by looking at the names on the card for the fight, it was going to be a really good event. And but I was like kind of mixed feelings about it. I'm like, is this really what we need to be doing, as our country? But I thought the way they did it was really well done. And honestly, I thought the walk through the White House and out to the, uh, arena, I thought that was an incredible scene. I thought the whole production was pretty high level. I don't know how much of it you watched, but between every fight they gave, like, because basically it was called Freedom 250, UFC Freedom 250. It's America's 250th birthday, and so
Was
everything
that
was like
UFC 250 as well?
and that could be. It could be. I don't know that, but it could be. Um, it's a very good question. I wish I knew the answer to that. But they did it on the White House lawn to celebrate America's birthday, but it was also on our president Donald Trump's 80th birthday as well, which is,
We talked about it in the last podcast.
yeah, however you want to take that, Do I think there was I just thought that the political landscape, not to get too deep into that right now, but I thought the political landscape right now, having a UFC event on the White House lawn was a little bit of felt like a sideshow a little bit going into it. But I'll tell you what, I got very excited as the event got closer. I was like, this is just going to be such a good fight or such a good event. And it was probably one of the best UFC events that I've ever watched. I mean, there were 7 fights on the card, 7 finishes. None of it went to decisions. They were all knockouts. And some of the top fighters in the game. My favorite fighter is Sugar Sean O'Malley. He finished had a second round knockout that was spectacular. Did you see that knockout?
I did not. I have not seen highlights or anything.
So it's incredible. He hits the guy with a left jab and it kind of rocks him. He stumbles a little bit down to kind of falls a little bit and starts to stand back up. And he comes back in with a left and then came with the right. And as soon as he connected with the right, he stood up and saluted. Like he knew he finished him before he even
Before
hit
the opponent hit the mat?
before he hit the mat, he was saluting and he went and saluted like every side of the octagon. It was incredible. I'm serious. He finished him and went straight to the salute, walked it off, dude. It was an
Not
incredible
gonna lie,
moment.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, and then, there was, like I said, knockouts in every bout, and then the main event was a heavy favorite for Ilya Topuria. He's a Spaniard. He was 17-0 going into the fight, fighting against Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, who lives, trains, and fights out of Greeley, Colorado, by the way. And I think Justin Gaethje was a plus 300 or something underdog. And I had lost, my UFC bet prior to this fight starting, and so I was like, "Whatever, I'm gonna throw $25 on Gaethje to win by knockout," and Gaethje pieced him up, dude. It was plus 500 odds. I put 25, won one, paid out 150, so $125 win, and, like I said, Gaethje just pieced him up and dotted both of his eyes. He raccooned that dude straight up, dude. It was great. It was one
That's
of the
awesome.
best finishes, and, for the moment, Justin Gaethje, an American versus the Spanish guy for America's 250th birthday, and, I gotta call this out, and I wish we had the clip that we could play, but at the end of the fight, when they went to the post, fight interview with Justin Gaethje, they were talking about, how he was an underdog, and he was a big underdog, and that, what it took to overcome that, and he was like, "Look, America was a big underdog 250 years ago," and started, talking patriotic talk, and he's like, "Look what we accomplished. We're the best, greatest country in the world," and it just did kinda give me a sense of patriotism as well, and I'm a sucker for that, man. I tell you what, I really loved the fight, and, I loved the event. I thought it was great.
Just like our boy Jack Hughes after winning that Olympic gold. Love to hear that. For not that our listeners really care, but I guess I'll back up a little bit because I did have a little bit of FOMO this morning when I went to work. So I guess my biggest, not even gripe. So I was into the UFC in college where people were paying for the fights, getting pay per view, and we're
Me too.
Chuck Liddell, and then let's say like John Jones, which came a little bit later. But then I just didn't really have a place to watch it, and I just kind of gave up. But it was extremely easy to look at that fight. I do subscribe to Paramount Plus, so I guess maybe it's something I should look a little bit more into because I do think I lost out on an opportunity last night to watch some of it. Because when I got to work, I wanted to talk about what happened in the World Cup, and don't get me wrong, we're going to get to that here in a minute. But a lot of the talk around work was that fight, and the people that are really into UFC were rattling off the same things. No fight went to a decision. Just some of the one of the best UFC events that they saw. So I missed out, but Ferg, thanks for the recap. And Aria, you called it out. That Gaethje, he's local. He said Greeley, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, I'll tell you what, I had a shout out Billy. I talk about my good friend Billy on the podcast every so often. He called me this morning and was like, dude, he was like, those fights were incredible last night. Cause I went over to his house for the first few fights to watch them. And he was like, those fights were incredible last night. And I was like, definitely. And he's like, he's like, we've talked about UFC a lot, Kevin. And he's like, I've never been like the biggest fan. He's like, I've always, just kind of been a casual watcher. If it's on, I'll turn it on or I'll. If somebody else is. He's like, but I can't wait for the next fights. And that's really what you want as a promoter of the UFC, as Dana White, CEO, top promoter of the UFC. That's really what you want is to put on a show that people can't forget. And for me, I like you got into the UFC for a while early on, and then it kind of faded for me as well. And I'll be honest, COVID, Dana White and the UFC did a fantastic job during COVID. All the other sports leagues were like canceling games and canceling portions of seasons and things like that. And Dana White kind of leaned into that. And at that time, UFC was one of the only sports you could really watch during COVID, the only, the live sports. And so we would do like UFC parties and stuff. And he tested everybody. There were no fans in the arenas that they were fighting in. But at the end of the day, the product was still a pretty good product. And that's when I kind of got really back into it. I'd say in the 10 years prior to COVID, I was more of a casual watcher. I rarely would get the pay-per-views and things like that. But you're right, with it going now to Paramount Plus, it's a pretty small monthly fee, and you get every fight.
It's as accessible as it's ever been. So yeah,
I agree.
you're absolutely right. We did talk about Fergie, the optics not being great, but it did sound like it was a great event. The only thing that Dana White did say is it would take him a minute, or because I think the president was talking about let's do this again, and he's like, F no, and only because not because it wasn't a successful event. I think he just personally it wrecked his nervous system because he was so worried about weather the whole time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
having that outdoor event, but good to see no weather and great event
No
overall.
lines, none of that stuff that they were anticipating, and it I think, personally, I think it was a pretty successful event. Oh, man, did you hear so there's a heavyweight fight in that earlier in the night. It was between Derek Lewis and I believe his name is Josh Hokett, maybe? Did you see what happened after that fight?
I did not.
So it comes out, Josh Hokett, comes out, and I'll be honest, I was not real familiar with his name prior to this event, but I am now. And he came out and was just being like real brash, flipping off his Derek Lewis on the other corner, and just his actions were. I was like kind of turned off. I was like, this guy's kind of a wacko, right? And live wire for sure. Well, he beat the piss out of Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is one of the biggest, heaviest strikers in the UFC. He's famous for that Rogan interview where he took his shorts off, and Rogan was like, "Hey, I see you took your shorts off," and he's like, "Yeah, my balls was hot." Remember that? I told you that story before.
Yeah, you talked about it on the last episode.
Yeah, so that's Derek Lewis, and he's got heavy hands. He's a big puncher, and he only landed 7 strikes on this Hogan. I mean, he really, really just worked him over. But after the fight, I can't even. This is hard, man. And you know me, man, I don't mind talking about this kind of stuff in a private setting, but it's a little hard for me to even say this over the
Can't
air.
wait.
But after the fight,
Wait.
after the fight, he went right back to being the brash individual that he was, and then he said all this stuff. I'm the, I'm this, I'm that. You know how they pound their chest a little bit. Some of those guys after the fight, some take a little more humble approach, which I like. But he was a little bit more brash about it, and then Rogan was like right there, and he was holding the mic, and he kind of grabbed the mic and he was like, and Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America? And then he gave the mic back to Rogan and walked off the fucking
Dude, I had no idea what that was
on
about.
the
So
White
actually,
House on the White House lawn. He Look, I'm all about a good conspiracy theory. That's one that is a little hard to touch on a just a normal pace. It's
did you see that live?
I saw it live, dude. I was at Billy's house and we rewinded it. to play it over. We were like, did he really just say that?
Well, it's one of the headlines on
Oh, man.
ESPN. Hokit disparages Michelle Obama at UFC
Yeah.
event or whatever. And I didn't
Yeah.
click on it. So that's what you're talking about. But
Yes. Oh, it was I mean, I think I can't imagine anybody else having much different of a reaction than I did, which is just the jaw hitting the floor. Like, did this really just happen? I can't believe it.
that's good live TV. Good live TV. Well,
Did he
Ferg,
really say that?
well, we got some insults. We beat up some Europeans, and it was full of patriotism. Sounds like a good event to me. Sounds like a good event. But Ferg,
Yeah.
we get a lot of other good events, and so I guess I'm just going to roll into. We've been talking for the past 2 months. I know the NBA playoffs started on April 14th, so just about on the dot 2 months ago, and hockey was right around then. But we promised on the last episode we were going to have an NBA champion and a Stanley Cup champion, and we got both over the past couple of days. And you know what? I think there's more to talk about the NBA, so I'm going to start off with the NHL. Carolina Hurricanes, both of our picks going into the final, not into the playoffs, pulled it out in 6 games against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Look, I'll be honest. Actually, I don't have to be honest. It's on record. I thought this was going to be a much quicker series. So, kudos to the Las Vegas Golden Knights. They won the first game and were in it in a lot of those games and put up a really good fight. Carolina was the better team throughout the season and came out on top, the better team at the end of it. And congrats to them. No hate for them. Not at all.
Yeah, no doubt. Happy to see it. Happy to see Vegas go down. We did call out Ferg. I do want to call out. We did have a winning bet that we published. We talked about it on the air and we published on our social media. I was able to hit that Canes over 5.5 goals for game 4 and a Canes money line win. So able to pull that out. We're able to publish that. We love publishing winning bets. So that was a big win. And then Ferg throughout that series, and I know we didn't really publish it on our social media, but so all throughout up till game 1, 2, 3, and 4, they had a over under at 5.5. And every game I bet that over. I know in game 4, or excuse me, it was game 4 when you bet the under and I bet the over, and the game ended with 8 goals. Well, the following game, Vegas finally got wise and they moved the line to 6.5, and that's when I bet the under, and the game ended with 6 goals. So at that point, I'm writing 5 out of 5 hitting the over under. They move it back down to 5.5 goals for game 6, and of course, it ends in a 3-0 shutout. Look at me talking soccer. It's like we're about to talk soccer here in a little bit. But anyways, congrats to the Hurricanes. One thing that impressive that I want to shout out, congrats to the head coach, Rod Brindamore. He won the Stanley Cup. So the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup back in 2005. Rod Brindamore was the captain, the first to receive the Stanley Cup. He was the head coach of the team last night. He is the first player or first person sent to captain a team and take that same team and coach them to win a Stanley Cup since Mike Bossy from the 1950s. So an accomplishment that's been about 70 years. So
Yeah.
congrats to the Hurricanes and Rod Brindamore.
Yeah, I knew Bossy had done it back then. I just didn't know that was the last time. I knew, back then, like Bossy, the boss. You know what I mean? And
From the
I
50s
knew
back in
he had yeah, I
your 50s
knew,
hockey knowledge. Hey,
yeah, I knew
I
he
would
had
have known
done
if it
it.
didn't.
I knew he had done it, but I didn't know the last one.
However, I do got to shout out, they did not mention Joe Sakic. He captained the Colorado Avalanche to 2 Stanley Cups in the mid 90s, early 2000s. And then he was the general manager for the Stanley Cup in 2022. So they didn't feel to mention him, but we'll do it on this podcast because we're an Avs podcast. Go Avs. Ferg,
Wow.
so we got the result we wanted. Neither of us picked that at the beginning, but moving into a series that I think has more storylines overall and will be fun to talk about, especially because of one game since we last spoke with each other on the podcast. We got a new NBA Finals champ, and that is the New York Knicks. And Ferg, one, I got to shout out. They did beat the Spurs, but you had the Spurs coming out of the West overall. So in the 2 playoffs that we've been talking about for the past 2 months, yeah, I guess you got farthest. So congratulations, my friend. But anything out of that series that you want to talk about? There's a lot.
Well, yeah, there's a ton. First things first, congrats to the Knicks. I'm not a Knicks fan. I never really cared for the Knicks. Even this Knicks team is not really the players on the team. I'm not really the biggest fan of. I'm not a San Antonio fan by any means either. So, it is what it is. But congrats to them, their first championship in 53 years, which is the longest in NBA history, the longest drought in NBA history. And so that's over. And honestly, it probably feels good for the NBA to have the Knicks back in that position. That is a major market team, and they're the best in that major market. The New Jersey Nets, I guess you could kind of classify as a New York team as well in that area. And the Knicks have clearly been the historical team there. So, congrats to them. Congrats to the city and state of New York. But yeah, who really gives a shit?
A couple of things for. So I want to back up. So they played. It was Game 3 last time we recorded. So I know that in our picks, I can't remember exactly what we had. Actually, now that I think about it, I can remember roughly. But you did pick the Spurs for that game. For Game 3 in Madison Square Garden, I picked the Knicks.
Uh-huh.
I believe I picked
Yep.
the Knicks on the line. Well, that has ended up being the one game that the Spurs won. And I will say it was kind of funny to watch the disappointment in all the celebrities. And then that carries
Yeah.
on to game 4. And you're talking about the San Antonio Spurs being up 29 points. And I remember I watched the entirety of that game, Ferg, and seeing the cut to Ben Stiller, to Larry David, to Kylie Jenner's boyfriend. Everyone just looked to Taylor Swift. I mean, everyone, the lady from SVU, everyone was just looking like, what the hell happened? The look on Spike Lee's face actually made me happy because Spike Lee's an idiot. Would you say I'm not getting down with his joints or whatever?
Yeah.
Anyways, it was pretty funny to see all the dismay in the crowd. But then came the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history, and the New York Knicks pull it out, coming down from 29 points to win that game. It was incredible.
Yeah. It was really crazy to watch. I had a parlay that I posted on the socials for that game that had the Spurs winning and a few different things. And the Spurs didn't win, and Wembanyama did not get the points, the 27 points. I think he had 18 or 17
He had
at half.
24.
At half?
Oh, at half. Yeah. He had 18
Yeah.
points at half. You're right. Yep.
Yeah. So he had like 18 points at half. I thought, oh, he's definitely getting these points. Well, Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs folded like a fucking cheap suit in that game, dude. It was embarrassing for San Antonio, and that's a tough one to recover from. In poker, Texas Hold'em in specific, they always say it's not the last hand; it was the hand before that really kills the poker player, which is oftentimes true. But that's definitely the case in this scenario, if you ask me. The Spurs blowing that lead in game 4, um, I don't think they had a chance in game 5.
Dude, so
So
it's well, I want to go back to it real quick. So I just pulled this up. So it was 76 to 51. I don't think that's quick math. That's not the 29 points that we're talking about, but at one point it was 29 points. So it's 76
right,
to 51. We're looking at about 127 points. That over under was at 217. You needed to essentially get 90 points total the next half. So one, the over under looked like no brainer.
yeah,
Wembenyama, like you said, 18 points at halftime, no brainer.
yeah,
That's one where we did publish it, and I had Wembenyama and Castle to have 15 points, and Brunson and Wemby to have over 25 points. And of those four, only Brunson hit over that 25. Wembenyama ended with 24, but it was crazy to watch, and that atmosphere was insane.
yeah, definitely was, and, again, it was incredible. It was incredible. Here's a crazy stat, and like I said, Wemby, he folded, and I forgot that, yeah, I did have the over in that game, and somehow it hit the under. I think they had 140 points in the first half, something like that.
It was 100. What would I say? 71. It was 127 points in the first half.
There you go. So they needed 100 point, or yeah, they needed 90, like you said, 90 points. It's just crazy. But here is the stat that is absolutely, in my mind, the wildest coming out of this series is that San Antonio, the Spurs, led for 72% of the game time in this series and lost in 5 games.
Along with that stat, they had the lead in the going into the fourth quarter in all 5 games as well. I mean,
Wow.
we're talking about meltdowns. I mean, this is a meltdown. I know De'Aaron Fox is getting killed. He made some
Yeah.
really boneheaded plays, but I
Yep.
mean, even you look at Stephon Castle. He had one bucket I remember up until I think he started 0 for 9 up until the fourth quarter when he got his first buckets. Wemby was missing free throws. I mean, it was a meltdown team wide, regardless of De'Aaron Fox making some boneheaded decisions, especially not running the ball out in that game 4 and running the clock out. It was a meltdown, and every player is has responsibility in it.
I agree. But I think really you have to look at Wemby in this situation, and um, for me, I think it's a. I don't think it's indicative of the rest of his career. I think that he can go on and have a successful career with multiple titles potentially. But anyway, I think that he really the pressure got to him late. He missed 2 late free throws in that game 4 that would have really, I think, turned the tide, and it was within the last minute and a half that he missed 2 free throws. So, anyway, I think he'll come back better. I really do.
I
I
agree.
like
I
what I
do. I do think Wemby is going to have a chance for another ring, if not multiple. But Ferg, someone did talk about, and I can't remember. They listed off. So a few other names, and I did not put. I think 2 of these guys are complete head cases, but 3 names that they did mention on a sports talk radio today that got to an NBA Finals early in their career and have yet to be back, and 3 future Hall of Famers: Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Chris Paul. I know we're talking about guards compared to Wemby, but who knows with the injury? But I do agree. I think Wemby will be back, and then Ferg just game 4. I mean, and again, we're talking about the Spurs at one point, and I'm celebrating a wedding anniversary, so I was just kind of score watching on my phone, and on the drive back to Denver, I did listen to it on the radio the whole second half. But again, Spurs had a 16-point lead, a lead going into the fourth quarter. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, this is going to go back to New York. And sure as shit, lo and behold, in the matter of a half hour, Knicks come back and win, like you said, first title in 53 years. So congrats to the Knicks. And, I still think, regardless, the Spurs are going to be a problem in the Western Conference for a while. And for one last thing, one last dig, I want to throw at your Dallas Mavericks. So
Here we go.
so just a couple years ago, think about it. They had both Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic, and they let one walk and traded the other. So stings a little bit for a Mavs fan. when you think about it. But we can we can we can move on. Anyways, Ferg, moving on from it's been a good 2-year playoff run, and you know what I'm proud of us for? We came to you every single Monday during the NHL and NBA playoffs. We've been pretty consistent, but Ferg, we're on a good streak right now. So I appreciate you taking the time and the listeners taking the
Love it.
time to listen to us over this.
Love it, dude. Yeah. This is fun. I enjoy it. We do try to come with that consistency. And, it really, at the end of the day, boils down to our core principles. Notes. We're
Quick
here for the
clap.
people.
We're here for
We're
the
here for the
people.
people.
Right on.
And
Well,
yeah,
Ferg,
clap.
we obviously we got a World Cup to get to, but real quick, I just wanted to ask you because we have to touch on baseball since we're touching on all these other sports. Any update on our Sooners?
Yeah, actually, they beat Georgia this morning. They are 2-0 against they're 2-0 in the World Series so far. Doing great. Actually playing really well. They're seeing the ball really well. The line has moved to plus 1,000 odds on that. So things are looking up for the Sooners.
That's good. Can't wait to check back in. And the only other baseball news I have is Rocky scored 23 runs, blip on the radar.
Yeah.
So big run
Well,
output.
I tell you what, man, I missed a lot of parlays this week that were just one leg short. So I got a few names on the shit list, the rest in piss list, if you will.
You want to name a few?
Oh yeah, Seattle Mariners, one of the best records in the American League. They can't fucking beat Washington. I don't know. The Dodgers got shut out this week. I think that was actually the Nationals as well. So then I guess not only fuck the Dodgers and the Mariners, but fuck the Nationals. So I mean, like I said, the list is pretty long. It's pretty extensive.
Well, either way, I know you've hit some big ones, so I believe in you to get back on that horse. And what did you say that on the piss list?
I said the rest in piss list, the RIP.
Oh, the rest.
The rest in piss list.
Haven't heard that before, but I like it. Well, we've been teasing it for actually months now, and I'd say it's upon us. And I would say, the World Cup? And Ferg, let me kick off our World Cup talk with, I guess this team's on my rest and piss list. I did have my first bet of the World Cup. First game, I had Mexico winning and over under 2.5 goals. Mexico did win, but they just kind of took their foot off the gas. And I was watching it, and
Nothing.
yeah, so 2-0. So that pissed me off. So which leads me to my joke, Ferg, that I got to ask you.
Okay.
Why don't they teach driver's ed and sexual education in Mexico on the same day?
I don't know. Oh, wait. I think I might know this, but
Because it's too hard on the donkey.
oh, not. Oh, that's gonna get us canceled. But good news.
Hey,
There's nothing to cancel us from. So
but we are allowed to say goddamn Mexicans on the air because that's what they referred to, the team. So the Mexicans burned me in that game. Thought they had a full chance.
yeah,
I mean, I thought they're going to go up 4-0. But Ferg, early takeaways from this weekend of the World Cup.
Well, I'm gonna go back because I can't remember exactly the one, but Spain today
Fuck me
tied
nice and good.
versus Cape Verde. A lot of people Saudi Arabia right now, and I apologize for my needs out right now. Got an ad coming. I don't know if you heard that, but sorry about that. I was just looking up some of the World Cup, but the first maybe the second day of the tournament, there was another team that I expected to win, and they got straight up beat. So just like any time the world gets together for these things, it's fun to watch, and I do love the upsets. So I have zero surprise, pretty much just little surprise on anything or on any of these scores because I don't know enough about the world game. Just to be honest, I do enjoy betting on it and it's fun, but I don't know enough about the world game. Um, Germany, they were down like the Germans. Sorry, I've got some ties to Germany. I am a Team America guy first and foremost, but I do like the German soccer kit. So I was rocking that today. They were down 1-0 to
Curacao.
Curacao, and this is actually Curaçao's first ever invite to the World Cup. So they made history. They were up 1-0 versus the uh, Germans, and then they came back and won 7-1 in that game. I think that's probably the most goals that have been scored in a game. I think they took that 1-0 deficit pretty personal.
I would agree, and they kind of led me into I'll get into the rest of these teams, but I'm just shocked it didn't. And I was wanted to tell you my joke about Mexico, but really, dude, first and foremost, before we talk into what's worked, what's not, because to be honest with you, a lot really hasn't worked. But there's been some really good games and a couple I want to call out. But dude, it also got to start with USA beating Paraguay 4-1. I mean, that was a tape to tape, line to line smoking of Paraguay. And in my opinion, at least from what I know, that's supposed to be the hardest match of the group stage for the Americans. 4-1 is the biggest win for the United States in a World Cup match. So they were making history and they made it look easy the entire game, Ferg. I mean, it was
Really,
great to watch. Did you get to watch any of it?
I did. I didn't get to watch it as closely as I would like to have watched it, but I was out and about and it was on, and I was definitely following the game while it was playing. It was fun to watch. I mean, anytime the Americans can dominate a game like that, I love it. And you're right. I mean, Paraguay, however you want to call it. I'm really good at like names and stuff. So,
You are Mr.
but anyway,
International.
yeah, exactly. Mr. Worldwide. Not people, it's me. But no, I'm the real Mr. Worldwide. Sorry, Pitbull. But no, but seriously, and I lost track of what I was saying, but anytime the Americans can put it on, and I do think that what I was saying was that Paraguay was probably the hardest matchup in the group. And so hopefully this is signs of things to come, and let's carry this into the knockout stages.
Let's do it. We do have a game against Australia. That is the next match this Friday at 1 p.m. So looking forward to that. I guess the only big news, or I guess negative news coming out of that game is Christian Pulisic, our star player, plays striker for AC Milan, which if you would have said in America is playing in Europe in a high capacity, high profile role. Really wasn't the case. He sat out the second half. That is one bet I had. I bet Christian Pulisic to score a goal in that game. It was plus 240 odds. He got pulled at halftime. It was actually cool. The score did refund that bet, but I guess he's dealing with a calf, so hopefully he is good to go in the next game because he was doing a lot of wheeling and dealing out there. But
Yeah.
great win for the Americans. And then for a couple games that I wanted to talk about is I guess I called them out on the air too, is the Dutch. I feel real close to the Netherlands with their illegal prostitution and legal marijuana. I was able to go there on my honeymoon. They had a really good game against Japan. So actually, I believe that was Saturday. It was no, it was Sunday. Either way, it doesn't matter. I had Germany winning, I had the Netherlands beating Japan, and I had Sweden winning. Germany blew out Curacao. Netherlands tied Japan. Japan scored in the 86th minute, which was somewhat of a kick to the nuts. And then Sweden beat Tunisia. But I was taking those trends into this Spain Cape Verde game. Germany's beating Curacao, a tiny island just north of Venezuela. Tunisia, not sure where that is. They got smoked by the Swedes. And then so I'm thinking 4.5 goals. I took over 4.5 goals for a game because I'm thinking Spain's going to put 5-6-0 against Cape Verde. And then I go and I take a look. I didn't watch the game because it was at 10 a.m. today, but I take a look and it's 0-0 with 78 minutes left. And that's the way the game ended. I was shocked.
Yep. Yeah. I was shocked too. Like I said, that's some people's pick to win it is Spain. And, um, at the end of the day, I don't mind it. I don't have any vested interest in Spain myself. So, um, let's see it. I mean, honestly, the way I look at this Nugs is this. Uh, Whatever the easiest path is for the Yanks to get to the final, let's go. So if we can knock out some of these our heavy hitters like Spain in the group stages, I mean, I know that's very unlikely, but that's a big blow with the tie to Cape Verde in the first match.
100%. 100%. And so, Ferg, I did say I know this won't get to the listeners until I guess Tuesday morning. We're coming at you on Monday, May 15th. But the game tonight is Iran versus. I should know this.
It's
Ferg. I just had it.
Iran.
Iran. Actually, should know. So Iran versus New Zealand, the fucking Kiwis. I have Iran winning. They are minus 130 favorites, but I need a little bit of good juju going into this next week. I think the Iranians are going to be pissed off just because, I don't know, they're getting. Actually, we're not at war with them anymore.
No, we signed the treaty.
Yeah, we just signed a treaty. Either way, I still think they're going to come to. Probably wasn't the easiest way. Transportation getting through customs, even though I don't think they're playing in the United States. Regardless, I took Iran at minus 130 to win the match tonight. And then Ferg, I'm going to go and do exactly what I did. What I did this morning. France is playing Senegal in their first match, and France was the second favorite odds behind Spain to win the World Cup. I'm not going to go as aggressive at 4.5, but I'm going to go over 3.5 goals in that game.
I'll ride that with you, but let's pump it. Let's pump it. Let's get aggressive. Let's pump it to that 4.5 Nugs.
All right, let's do it.
I
Let's see.
love it. Let's pump it to that 4.5 total goals. And let's let France whoop that ass. What's that paying, Nugs? You putting that in live, or do I need to put it in live? I'll do it.
Dude, what odds are you getting at 3.5? It's only giving me over 3.5. Or actually, let me see all lines. Oh, over 4.5 plus 450. You want to ride it?
I definitely want to ride that. So give me just a second, and I'll tell you what I'm getting as far as odds go for that on Fanatics. But yeah, I definitely want to ride that. You know me, Nugs, I'm always trying to go for the odds. And so if we can get, some better odds on something that I think is and that's tomorrow morning. That's tomorrow at 1. I got it. Is that right?
Yep.
There we go. Sorry, I was having trouble getting the let's see here. Goals. I'm sorry, man. You got something in the meantime while I find this?
So I'll just look at
Um,
it.
I'll tell you what, man, from what I understand, so I've got plus 550 odds on and that is total goals over 4.5, 550. I'm placing that right now.
Right there with you.
Boom. Right there. Real time. Let's go.
See that green right on. Well, fair. And then the next game is Norway versus Iraq. Norway's, I guess, big favorites there. So not sure we're throwing any money there, but yeah. So anyway, I've talked about it on the podcast before. The thing I love about the World Cup right now, Ferg, is we're having 3 to 4 games a day, and that's going on for the next 3 weeks. It's like the opening round of the NCAA tournament, but
Yeah.
for 3 weeks, not just one weekend. 3 weeks, Ferg.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So a lot more to
It's a
come.
beautiful game on full display.
Absolutely. So keep an eye on our socials, see how we're betting. Go with France over 4.5. Ride that with us.
Yeah.
Quadruple your money, quintuple it if you're doing it through Fanatics like Ferg. But Ferg, look forward to a lot more good soccer.
Me too, man. Me too. It's always fun. I haven't got to tune in as much as I'd like with work and whatnot, but I'll be watching. Look, dude, I don't give a fuck. It's Iran to me too. I just like the people that are like, it's Iran. I don't care. It's Iran. So I'll watch that Iran. I'll hopefully watch Iran get ran out of the country tonight.
I hope not, because that's hopefully my first winning bet of the World Cup. Ferg, a lot more
Gotcha.
World Cup to talk about in subsequent episodes, but before we go, I did want to talk to you about something that I brought up last week. We talked about munching otter boxes and my guy Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah, bro.
So,
What the heck? You started to tell me something about this in our pre-production meeting. You were like, Jonathan Cooper, you texted me the other day about it, and I didn't respond because honestly, man, I just want to be able to react in real time for our listeners and for our viewers because this story was wild. Recap the story briefly, and then let's get into the new developments.
all right, Ferg. Well, I do forewarn you that when we get into the new developments, it does take a little bit of a darker turn, and also makes you question this guy's mental health at the current moment. But anyways, about a week and a half ago, it happened a week ago. No, excuse me, 2 weeks ago. This upcoming Thursday. Anyways, it was like June 4th. Jonathan Cooper gets arrested for domestic violence, and in the police report, it's coming out that he's taking his girlfriend's phone and he's actually trying to eat it. One of my first thoughts was, okay, does this have a case on it? Like, normally these phones are pretty sturdy, you know? I know that they seem delicate when you get them out of the box or you get them from the T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T store, Boost Mobile in your case. But when you get them out of the box, they're pretty they're pretty delicate. But then everyone carries them in a pretty sturdy case. So like I said, is he trying to eat through a phone case? These things aren't thin. But then anyways, Ferg, so he gets out and he ends up going to OTAs and he's talking to the Broncos and he's like, yeah, this is a mistake. And the Broncos message that comes out is, well, the legal system has to play its course. And he sits down with the Broncos and Sean Payton, and this is this past Thursday, so a few days ago. Ferg, he starts calling and texting his ex that same day, and then she's not answering. Mind you, and this is pretty common for a domestic violence, he has a no contact order with his ex or with his girlfriend. Starts
Yeah.
calling her and texting her. She doesn't respond because she's adhering to an order. Mind you, she has charges against her too. He goes to her apartment and starts pounding on the door for about 5 to 10 minutes, where she calls the police. He violates his protection order, spends the night in jail. So within the matter of a week, he has 2 charges. And more news has come out, Ferg. Some of these charges have been upgraded to felonies. And one of the, like I said, it gets a little bit darker. They did a medical examination on the girlfriend, and now they're talking about strangulation that very well could have led to death. So Broncos linebacker Jonathan Cooper, soon, if I'd assume, to be ex-Broncos, in a world of hurt. And that brings up our friend Sharon Moore. Not really our friend. We kind of laughed at his expense, but got fired and then ended up going to his ex's house, threatening to kill himself, and ended up picking up charges for trespassing. I mean, this dude is crashing out, Ferg.
It's a full crash out. Happy trails, Jonathan Cooper. Like, unfortunately, outside of Broncos fans and, some real diehard football NFL fans across the country, I don't think many people really know this name. And it's really hard. I don't see him coming back from this one.
No, no, not at all. I mean, like I said, I mentioned this when it first happened, but I mean, you look at, there's been much higher profile athletes in the NFL that have essentially been blacklisted for similar behavior. And we're talking about
Yeah.
Jonathan Cooper, who was
Yeah.
a rags to riches story, a 6th-round pick. He did sign I would say, a big deal for someone drafted at that point in the draft. And I'd be willing to bet if he does get cut, the Broncos are going to go back after that money. So that big payday is probably gone. And I'd be curious to see if any teams are willing to give him a chance. If not, it's going to be quite a while. So,
It's hard to
anyways,
spend that kind of money in prison. And he gonna get Ray Riced for sure.
he's he'd go get Ray Rice. And hey, he can buy a lot of soups, though. I remember that from jail.
Yeah,
Soups
there you
is
go.
big currency. And what soups is
That
top ramen.
ramen.
Yeah, Ferg. And actually, I want to throw this. This just hit me. I read it the other day, but I'm gonna jog your memory a little bit. Do you remember Alden Smith?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers, he was a beast.
Yep. But he could not keep it clean off the field. Get it
Absolutely
together.
not. Gun charges,
3
guns and drugs.
DUIs.
Yeah.
He passed away at the age of 34. So
Yeah. Rest in peace. Honestly, like, I hate somebody that, I hate to see somebody pass away so young, and clearly a guy that was dealing with some demons himself. I mean, you've got one of the highest profile jobs in the country, and you're making, you're set for life if you just can keep your act together and play good football for a few years, and he couldn't get out of the shit. So it just tells me that he's troubled and or was troubled. And so you hate to see it. So hey, rest in peace to all these MLB teams, but hey, rest in peace, Alvin Smith. I don't really want to talk too poorly about the dead.
No, I agree with you. And hey, his last meaningful snaps, his last season, Dallas Cowboy, 3.5 sacks last season in the NFL. So he did
Thanks for bringing
contribute to
that
your
up.
squad. Yep. Anyways, Ferg, that is all I got. Look forward to watching a lot more soccer. We'll be chatting about that. And then, yeah, we'll see where the summer takes us, Ferg. But as always, it has been a pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine, Nugs. Look, hit us on the socials. Hit us on Facebook, hit us on TikTok. Just give us a follow. We're not really posting as much there. We do have plans for that. Get us on Instagram, and watch us on YouTube. We're live on YouTube now. We've put a lot to get this production onto that platform. So watch us on YouTube. Smash that like button. Give us a follow. Sound like a real freaking
Subscribe. I think subscribe is the term. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe. There you go. I don't know
Yep.
how to do it. I'm not that into it, but yeah, give us a like, give us a follow, watch our shit, engage, and show us your bets.
Show us your
what you're
bets
walking
and
with.
click motherfucking clack.
Click clack Nugs.
Grill it pop. Take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what this is. Come, what looks like it just came out of the basement. Master. Worldwide. Master. Master submitting.